Dear Patriots, please subscribe to our patriotic channel. Like and share this video so your friends can see it. Thank you. Trump just sent enormous message to the entire world and erased Obama from history forever. We are truly living in historic times in Israel's history. We are watching history unfold before our eyes, one that is cause for great celebration around the world. Not only has President Donald Trump chosen to withdraw from the disastrous Obama-Iran nuclear deal, but we are on the eve of the momentous opening of the American Embassy in Jerusalem, a move that recognizes Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and a move greatly appreciated by the people of Israel and most Jews in the world. Although most presidents we have seen during our lifetimes have promised to do what's right and recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, President Donald Trump did, and today our new embassy in the capital city of Jerusalem is now officially open for business. With this move, along with last week's move of withdrawing the U.S. from the debacle that was the Iran nuclear deal which Obama put together during his weak presidency, President Trump has shown the world that America is back. And we aren't about to take a secondary role ever again. With Obama's Iran deal, he destroyed 70 years of bipartisan U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East. His delusional deal abandoned Israel and Egypt and alienated the Sunni Muslims in the moderate Arab states, by making sure they all would have to deal with a nuclear Iran. Iran is the leading state sponsor of terror and exports dangerous missiles while it supports terrorist proxies and militias like Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Taliban all over the world. The idea that Iran ever sought a peaceful nuclear energy program is absurd and 100% illogical. And even worse, when Obama decided to ignore the slaughter of Christians in the so-called Red Line in Syria which he himself drafted, he opened the door for Russia to become a dominant regional player in the Middle East. How's that for Russian collusion? Here is more on this month's events via Fox News. We are at a truly historic moment in Israel's history, one that is cause for great celebration. Not only has President Donald Trump chosen to withdraw from the disastrous Obama-Iran nuclear deal, but we are on the eve of the momentous opening of the American Embassy in Jerusalem, a move that recognizes Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and a move greatly appreciated by the people of Israel. President Trump's pullout from the Iran deal, although expected, became a virtual certainty when Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu proved through Israel's intelligence agency Mossad that Iran had been lying to the world as it continued to enrich uranium and develop nuclear weapons. Iranian documents uncovered by that same intel agency are proof positive that Iran lied. Iran? Lie? Shock. On Tuesday, the day of the withdrawal, bomb shelters opened up in the Golan Heights and the Israeli army was on high alert as Israel braced for imminent attack. In Israel, as we proceeded from Haifa to the Golan Heights, there were no sirens. School buses and taxis continued to run. In Tiberias at night, we heard the undeniable sound of rockets. At breakfast, we found out that indeed there had been an Iranian rocket offensive toward Israel from inside Syria. Israel responded with strategic precision, targeting Iranian munitions storage warehouses, logistics headquarters and intel systems within its proxy Syria. Israel does what Israel needs to do. He not only sends a message to Iran but to Russia as well, that the U.S. is back as a dominant regional player after the Obama years. He recognizes the reality that everyone else in the West willingly blinds themselves to, and that is that Jerusalem is the one and only capital of Israel. On Saturday, Iranians marched against the United States, protesting President Trump's decision to withdraw from their nuclear deal. Maybe they should consider protesting that the $150 billion Obama gave them in cash wasn't used to benefit them, but instead to support both Iran's nuclear development as well as its military budget, which has grown by almost 40%. Obama's Iran deal destroyed 70 years of bipartisan U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East. His delusional deal abandoned Israel and Egypt, the largest Arab country, and alienated the Sunni Muslims in the moderate Arab states, guaranteeing they would face a nuclear Iran. Iran, the leading state sponsor of terror, exports dangerous missiles and supports terrorist proxies and militias like Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Taliban. The idea that it seeks a peaceful nuclear energy program is absurd to anyone with even half a brain. And as Obama turned his back on the slaughter of Christians and ignored his own red line in the Syria sand, he allowed Russia through this vacuum to become a dominant regional player in the Middle East. Donald Trump's withdrawal from that deal was the United States standing shoulder to shoulder with our ally Israel against the rest of the world. It sent a huge signal to Iran and Shia Muslims that we stood with the more moderate Sunnis. And although Great Britain and France had joined the United States earlier in taking out a Syrian weapons facility, they chose this time to stand with Iran against Israel and the United States. Trump has reassured the world that his word is worth more than former U.S. Presidents Bill Clinton, George W. Bush and Obama, all of whom made the promise to move the American embassy to Jerusalem. His word is worth more than any treaty and stronger than any UN resolution. He promised and he delivered. He not only sends a message to Iran but to Russia as well, that the US is back as a dominant regional player after the Obama years. He recognizes the reality that everyone else in the West willingly blinds themselves to, and that is that Jerusalem is the one and only capital of Israel. Trump is simply putting his imprimatur on what has been history in the last 2,500 years, that Jerusalem has only been the capital of one people's country or kingdom, and that people is the Jews. And that country is and was Israel. The empires that tried to destroy Israel and its capital Jerusalem are long gone, yet the Jews still speak the same language and practice the same religion, which is the foundation of our own Judeo-Christian nation. Donald Trump sent Iranians who are the descendants of Persia a message to reflect on their own history, and that it was the king of Persia who, 1,000 years before Muhammad was even born, said that Jerusalem was the capital of the Jewish people's country. There will be no Ottoman empires or Shia nations that will destroy Jerusalem any longer. Donald Trump recognized history. He, like King Cyrus before him, fulfilled the biblical prophecy of the gods worshipped by Jews, Christians and, yes, Muslims, that Jerusalem is the eternal capital of the Jewish state and that the Jewish people deserve a righteous, free and sovereign Israel. Dear patriots, please subscribe to our patriotic channel. Like and share this video so your friends can see it. Thank you. Trump team slams shut a massive loophole illegals use to get free benefits. The Trump administration has chosen to take yet another step in ending the flood of illegal aliens flooding across the southern border of the United States and ending a policy that exempted pregnant women from immigration detention. Under the new policy to be implemented, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, officers will treat pregnant detainees as they would any other, with the exception for providing necessary medical care and keeping a record of pregnant women while in ICE custody. The change was set in place by an internal directive issued in December by ICE Acting Director Thomas Homan. The policy change has been dubbed Identification and Monitoring of Pregnant Detainees. This new directive supersedes the previous policy issued by Homan in 2016. The new policy states that absent extraordinary circumstances or the requirement of mandatory detention, pregnant women will generally not be detained by ICE. The new policy change is absent much of the previous language used by then Department of Homeland Security Secretary Jeh Johnson of the Obama administration in a 2016 memo heavily borrowed from concerning the changes. The changes went into full effect just this past Thursday. ICE publicly announced the new directive. ICE has ended the presumption of release for all pregnant detainees, the agency wrote on its website, explaining the changes. Instead, as with all detainees, absent the requirements of mandatory detention, ICE will complete a case-by-case custody determination taking any special factors into account. ICE detention facilities will continue to provide on-site prenatal care and education, as well as remote access to specialists for pregnant women who remain in custody. In addition, ICE ensures access to comprehensive counseling and assistance, postpartum follow-up, and in certain cases, abortion services. The Hill explains. Philip Miller, a deputy exec associate director at ICE, explained that the period between Homan's directive and enactment of the policy was allowed so the agency could have the proper training and infrastructure in place to handle pregnant women. The email says that detention of pregnant women will serve to better align with the president's executive order. Trump signed an executive order in January 2017, tightening the way ICE conducts immigration operations and increasing the universe of immigrants deemed a priority for removal. An internal email was sent to ICE to complete a case-by-case custody determination, taking any special factors into account when processing pregnant detainees using a question and answer. The email also details that absent extraordinary circumstances, ICE will not detain a pregnant alien during the third trimester of pregnancy due to potential liability and complications while in custody. Most detentions are used as a precursor to extraction and removal from the country. Deportation generally follows, and because women with late-term pregnancies are not cleared for flight, therefore it would be inappropriate to use our detention ability for someone we cannot remove. The thought process is that once the child is born, the potential for elevated risk to both the child and the mother decreases dramatically if detention and removal do not occur until after the child is born. Many illegal aliens are considered a danger to society or an elevated flight risk, and in terms of risk to the community, it is vital to consider the full picture. They look at criminal history, risk assessment on men and/or women that commit violent or heinous acts. Women are just as capable of committing violent or heinous acts. USA Today states of the previous ICE policy, and the reason it was necessary to change was that pregnant undocumented aliens being detained were allowed to be freed on bond or supervised release. But President Trump has ordered ICE to keep more undocumented immigrants in detention, arguing that too many are released and never appear for their deportation hearings. The new policy, which was quietly signed 3 months ago, angered immigration advocates and human rights organizations. Americans should all be horrified at the thought of innocent pregnant women, many of whom fled violence and abuse in their home countries, languishing in what are essentially prisons, said Eleanor Racer, Senior Director of Refugee Protection for Human Rights First. ICE said the change was made to better align with an executive order issued by Trump in January last year, which broadly enabled immigration enforcement agencies to more strictly follow immigration laws. Philip Miller, a Deputy Executive Associate Director for ICE, told Reuters that 506 pregnant women have been detained by ICE since the new directive was first implemented back in December. The Hill also reports Congressional Hispanic Caucus Chairwoman Representative Michelle Lujan Grisham D&M called the policy change cruel and unnecessary and called for its immediate reversal. ICE's policy change toward pregnant women is inhumane and will expose these women to potential harm and undoubtedly lead to more miscarriages and pregnancy complications, said Lujan Grisham. This reprehensible policy change follows a disturbing and growing trend by the Trump administration to detain pregnant women, which has already led to alarming reports of miscarriages in immigration detention due to CBP and ICE's inadequate medical care. ICE has been the target of severe criticism from immigrant rights and religious groups, particularly when officers have separated immigrant families in detention. Holman, an Obama-era holdover, has taken a hard line against undocumented immigrants, saying they should be afraid,